And now, it's time for Healing from Within with your host, Tony Valen.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Like the man said, this is Healing from Within, and I'm your host, Tony Valen. On today's show, best-selling author Allison Bruning is on the show. Allison has always had a passion for the literary arts. She originally hails from Marion, Ohio, and lives in Indianapolis with her husband, Delphine Espinoza, and their Australian cattle dog. Allison is an author of 3 historical fiction books, Calico, Children of the Shawnee, Elsa, Secret Heritage Series, and Bailey's Revenge, Irish Twist of Fate series. Allison got an educational background in anthropology. She has a BA in Theater Arts from Sul Ross State University, and she has a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Her honors include National Honor Society members in both Theater and Arts and Communication, All-American Scholars, Who's Who Among American Educators, the Girl Scouts Gold and Silver Awards, and she's an educator, writer, speaker, and screenwriter. You can follow Allison at www.abruning.com, and A. Bruning is all lower caps. She's on Twitter at Emerald Kell, EMERALDKELL. Facebook, you can look for her on Facebook through the name of the series, Children of the Shawnee. She's on Pinterest, Allison B22, Allison B22, and you can purchase her books on Amazon. Just do a search for Allison Bruning, and she also has a blog, all lowercase, Allison Bruning, ALLISONBRUNING.blogspot.com. Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so very excited to have you here to talk about your book, Calico, Children of the Shawnee. What inspired your book?
Well, I am born and raised in Ohio. My family was one of the first families to enter in Ohio after the territory was opened up after the American Revolutionary War. My ancestor was a Revolutionary War patriot, and after he got out of the war, he was given pension, not in monetary funds, but as land in the Ohio Territory, in the Northwest Territory. So he picked up our family and headed into Ohio. So growing up, I always heard about the stories about the frontier and the Native Americans and our family heritage of being pioneers in Ohio. And I wanted to tell a story about Ohio history, but I wanted to tell it from a different perspective.
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that you hear growing up all over Ohio is we have a city named Wapakoneta. We have, which used to be the Shawnee reservation in Ohio. Many people don't realize that Ohio had a Native American reservation in there.
Right. Was it the Shawnee Reservation, or?
It was a Shawnee reservation at Wapakoneta.
Okay.
And so you grow up hearing all these Native American names, Shawnee, Delaware, Lenape, and you just don't think about it. I mean, even our cities and our towns and our streets are Native American language. But I felt disconnected from them. Not my heritage, number one, is not Native American. So this was a different book for me to write because I was writing from a perspective of a culture that I'm not even a member of.
Right, and that brings me to my second question, and I guess it's already been answered. I was going to ask you, why did you choose the Shawnee Indian tribe? But you already mentioned that it's all part of Ohio, and it's part of your, indirectly, it's part of your family heritage. But to you specifically, what made the Shawnee tribe unique? What made you choose them?
Well, when I had read the book Follow the River by James Alexander Thom, his main purpose of writing that book was to show the Shawnee in a positive light. But it was still written from the white person's point of view. He did a great job. I love his books. He's married to a Shawnee woman, so he understands the culture and everything. But I felt like there needed to be a book that went above and beyond what he did. I looked and looked and looked, and I could not find that book anywhere. And one of the things you hear about when you're growing up here is you hear about the French traders. You have to realize that the Northwest Territory, before the Revolutionary War, before the Indian War, French and Indian War, the French had a big population out here with their traders and their settlements and everything, and the French were trading with the Shawnee people. When the British came in and the British lost the French. When the French lost the French and Indian War, they lost to the British. They were kicked out of the Northwest Territory, and the British told them they were not allowed to come back. Well, when they did that, you have to realize the French traders, the way the Native Americans did trade is the French traders would marry into the tribe, and so then you have children who are of mixed descent, and when the French are kicked out, that leaves the Frenchmen have to leave, and their children have to stay behind because they're Native American and they were with the tribes and everything.
That's interesting. So is that why your main character is of French descent but raised by the Shawnee?
It's one of the reasons. When the British went into the Shawnee territories, it was really hard for them to turn the Shawnees over. But the Shawnees, they understood that, the French are gone and we need to make a pact with the British. But the British saw these white children running around and thought, we have to rescue them. The Shawnee must be capturing them. You see it all the time in the media, even today, that the Shawnee people get a bad rap. They're always attacking villages, kidnapping women and children, doing horrible things. But you never hear about the women that were rescued by the British, were taken back to their village, and the very next thing that the women did, they ran back to the Shawnee.
Interesting.
And these white women that ran back to their captors were deemed lunatics by the British, and they thought, well, these women must be crazy. The Shawnee must have done something to these women to make them insane, and that's why they went back to their captors. But
got it. Yeah.
I wanted to present a book showing why these women stayed. These women stayed with the Shawnee because in the 18th century, these women had more freedoms with the Native American tribes than they did with their white counterparts. To be a woman in British society was more restraining upon a woman to be a woman in a Shawnee village.
Oh, really?
And so I wanted to present the freedoms that these women have and why they stayed behind. And that's why it was so important for me to have Calico take a stance and tell people, no, I'm not British, I'm not French, I am Shawnee.
Got it. So let's talk about the main character in your book. Her name is Calico Marie Turner. Give us a little background about her and tell the audience how you present her in the book.
Calico is the daughter of a French nobleman. She does not know her father's noble, so don't tell her.
Okay.
And her mother is a British-Irish noblewoman. She don't know that either. But her father has a trade relationship with the French. I mean, he's French, but he has a trade relationship with the Shawnee.
With Shawnee,
his brother Pierre lives in the tribe and has married into the tribe. So he does most of the trading. Francois just he's a remnant left over from the French and Indian War. He was a general during the war who befriended the Shawnee. And unfortunately, like most of the wars that the Shawnee have backed people up, they kind of lost the war because the Shawnee were siding with the French, not the British at that time. Calico is a twin.
Is a what? I'm sorry, a twin?
She's a twin, yes.
Oh, okay.
And her twin sister actually is you hear about her in the book, but you only get to see her until she's 8, because when she's 8, Rose actually goes to France and to live in France. Calico was born in the Shawnee village. Francois presented her mother, Anna, to the village because Francois had been adopted by the peace chief, and he wanted his family to be raised around the Shawnee. And in order to do so, Anna needed to walk the gauntlet. But she was 9 months pregnant, and the chief didn't want to do it. The Shawnee didn't want to do it because the Shawnee honor women more than men. To create a crime against a woman was actually was to receive double punishment for any crime against a woman.
Interesting.
So they honored the women. She didn't, but she said, I'm going to walk this gauntlet anyways, because if it means it's how I'm going to be with my husband, then I'm going to do it. She's Irish, you know.
Oh, I see. That's where the Irish comes in, right?
Yeah, she's stubborn Irish, you know. So she walked the gauntlet, and in the middle of the gauntlet, she gave birth to Calico.
Wow.
So Calico was born in Shawnee Village. And then 5 minutes later, after the gauntlet, she gave birth to Rose.
Well, I'm familiar with your book, a little familiar with your book, and I know that your main character, Calico, is you created her in a special way. You made her a medium, empath, and a psychic. Why did you make that twist on that? I mean, what brought you to giving her those special gifts?
It just kind of happened as I was writing it. Originally, I only wanted her to be a medium, but as her character grew, she ended up taking on more abilities, and it kind of fit with the story. She is meant to be a very powerful medicine woman, and before she was born, there was a prophecy given to their shaman, Yellow Oak, stating that there will be a woman that comes to their tribe who will become a powerful medicine woman, but she will have to face a trial. And the trial is that a man whose heart appears pure shall deceive her. The power he holds over her will lead her to evil. She shall denounce the ways of our grandmother, and our grandmother is the Shawnee's equivalent of the creator. They do believe in God, but they believe that our grandmother created everything. Another man comes whose pure heart beats for her alone, and who has a pure spirit devoted to the goddess, our grandmother. He shall defeat the evil and set her free. So I was given this, in my writing, research, everything, I just came across, the prophecy was just given to me. I started playing around it. I started playing with the idea of the prophecy, and I decided, Calico, if she's going to be this powerful medicine woman, then she needs to embody more spirituality than just, say, a normal medium would.
Got it.
And she became an empath, and she became a healer.
So for the sake of the audience, people, because there's people that are listening that may not know what a shaman is, what an empath is, a medium. I'm sure they know what a psychic is. But for the other three terms, can you tell the audience what that means when you say that she's a medium, when you say that she's an empath, and when you say that there was a shaman?
Okay. A medium is a person who can see and speak to spirits. Calico, when her abilities come, the first ability that she gets is as a medium. Mm-hmm. She sees her first spirit when she's 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's so overwhelming. It's her mother. She sees her mother when she's 8 years old, and her mother approaches her and sends her into the spirit world. And then after that door is open, the spirits just overwhelm her. And so some Native American tribes believe that there are these children that are born in our world who has that ability to speak to the spirits. And once the spirit knows that a person of this world can see and speak to them, there will be more spirits bombarding upon that child. And that child has to be protected because they don't know how to cipher between good and bad spirits. You know, they can get overwhelmed. And that's what happens with Calico in the story. She gets overwhelmed. Empath, Calico gets her empathic abilities about 10 or 11 years old. You see it first in the book when the tribe captured Daniel Boone. And she can feel his pain. Right. She can feel Lil Al's pain. If she touches someone, she can feel their pain, and she can feel their emotions. But later on in the book, you'll see that she gets to the point where she learns that to do it without touching someone.
Got it. So it's more about feeling and not so much about touch. So she's actually a very powerful empath. Yes, but she has to first touch. She starts with touch, and then she eventually gets to that point where she can control it. Got it.
She has a hard time controlling her abilities when she's younger. That's why the shaman has to come and guide her.
Yeah, and that was my next question. So a shaman is a teacher, or what is a shaman?
They're a spiritual teacher. The shaman, actually, Native American tribes usually didn't practice shamanism. They had their own creative sources. But among the Shawnee, this is not really known, and I had to dig to get it. When I first heard about this clan, I had to think, you've got to be kidding me. These people couldn't have really. But I was kind of led down a road, and I've had a lot of Native Americans ask me, where do you get your knowledge? Yeah. Which I don't get my knowledge from books and stuff. A shaman in the Shawnee sense, they believe that a shaman was a boy who, at the age of 8, goes into initiation. And initiation is that a shaman elder will take this young boy to the woods and ceremoniously tear them limb by limb and take their head off, and then he'll take all the body parts to the council house of the elders. Excuse me. They'll have a ceremony there, and if the Creator wills for that boy to be a shaman, she'll bring the body back into, a perfect form, and that person will be immortal. And in my book, I have them growing until they're 40, and then at the age of 40, they just kind of stop growing.
Got it. So at age of, and why 40? Is there a certain reason why you chose the number, the age 40?
My husband once told me that 40 is an important biblical number because that's when you get wisdom. And so I thought, that's an interesting thought. Yeah. So what if you gain the greatest amount of wisdom at age 40? So I went with that.
Got it. So when you did your research regarding mediums, empath, and shaman, where did you look for that, or how did that happen?
Well, a lot of some of what Calico experiences is stuff that I've experienced. I just put myself in her shoes. And I did that.
Got it.
But I have seen the dead when I was little. I'm actually an NDE, and an NDE is a near-death experience. I died when I was 2. So I grew up seeing stuff that I didn't even know that weren't there. Like, I had imaginary friends when I was little, and my mom and I had it a long time, and I saw them there. I saw these kids playing with me, and then I was told that they're not really there, you know. But I know they're there, and I could see them doing stuff, and so I understood Calico because of her empathic. I felt things too, and so I just threw more in there. And then I had the chance also to talk to Native Americans from different tribes who are spiritual, hold on to the old ways, and told me what would be expected of a medicine woman.
Oh, okay. And so all the research was from your own experiences and from talking to the local Indian tribes. And so that answers the question I was going to ask you, because I was going to ask if you had your special gifts of your own and if those transferred over to Calico, which you already told me. So with this book, if people were to pick it up and read your book, do you think it helps people heal from within? I mean, like this show's all about providing healing and answers to different things. Does your book have a certain message of healing that people can use and walk away with?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Each of my characters have their own internal healing that they must do. I'll start with Calico. Calico's main thing is, even though she accepts the life that she has as her own, she doesn't realize that the reason that she has issues with male authority is because she feels abandoned by her father. The last thing that her father ever told her was that he was disappointed in her. And then he walked out the door and he died, and she never heard from him again. And his spirit has never come to her. And so she goes through her entire life thinking that her father just abandoned her. And it's not until she crosses into the spirit realm towards the end of the book that she has her cathartic moment where she realizes, this issue that I have with my father is hindering me from following the true path, because as long as I can't trust a man in my life, how can I let the man who I love, but I don't trust him because he's taunted me all my life, defeat the evil that he's supposed to do? How can I let him fulfill the prophecy because I have an issue with men? So as for her love interest, Little Al, his healing also has to do with abandonment issues. Well, actually, his is more of a guilty issue. He is the weakest son. He sustained a head injury when he was little during his first battle. He was born nearsighted, so he can't see anyway. And he suffers from these migraines. He's an alcoholic, so he just has a lot of issues. And he's got a short temper too. When his father dies, he has to accept the fact his main issue is he does not believe that the Shawnee should ever allow a white person in their village. He believes that when Chief Big Deer allowed the Turners to move into camp, that Calico, Pierre Latreille, which is her French uncle, her father, Francois, her mom, Anna, plus her uncle, Dr. Alexander Turner, They all were adopted into the
Little Shawnee.
Al believes, Shawnee, yeah.
Right.
Little Al believes that was the worst decision Chief Big Deer had ever made in his life, because to him, all white people are evil. Are evil, yeah.
Right.
So he has this prejudice. And so he has to face this inner healing of, I can't hate everybody. I have to accept the Creator's will, even if I don't agree with it.
Okay. So we're listening to Allison Bruning. Again, this is Tony Valen, host of Healing from Within. You can follow Allison at www.abruning.com. She's on Twitter, Emerald Kell, EMERALDKELL, and she's also on Facebook. Just do a search for Children of the Shawnee, and you can learn all about her books. She's on Pinterest, Allison B22, and you can purchase her books at Amazon. Just do a search for Allison Bruning, and she also has a wonderful, wonderful blog. It's Allison Bruning, all lowercase, blogspot.com. And I just want to make sure that people know about you, Allison, because you have such a wealth of information and so much to share. I definitely want people to get to know you. So I know that you were telling me that you were going to give a book away. Is that correct?
I am. This week awesome. I am participating in the Armchair BEA. This is my first year participating in it. I have been writing professionally for 6 years now.
Okay.
Calico was my first book published. I have since had 2 more published. Her grandmother's story, her grandmother is also a medium. Bailey is in my book called Bailey's Revenge, and it takes place in 18th century Ireland. I will be giving that book away, as well as Calico. I will also be giving a copy of Elsa away, which is it's about a woman who falls in love with a man who has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, and the year is 1905. Asperger's wasn't discovered until the 1940s, so you can imagine the chaos of that, living in that society with people who don't understand you.
Right. Poor guy, yeah.
Yeah, I will be giving that away. I also have a book called Reflections, Poems, and Essays, which has historical poems and inspirational poems in there. I am a very much a spiritual person, so a lot of my spiritual poems are in there as well. So all my books I'm giving a copy away this week. The contest is going to run on my blog starting Wednesday, and will end on I told you it's Wednesday. Starting Thursday at midnight. My contest will be running on my blog until midnight June 1st, and then on June 1st I will announce the winners on my blog. And,
wonderful. So in order for people to join in the contest for a chance to win, they just have to go to AllisonBruning.blogspot.com. ALLISONBRUING, all lowercase, .blogspot.com, correct?
Correct, and they can just go on there on Thursday. Now, they can read my blogs anytime. I blog throughout the week, and I do respond to all my comments on the blog. I also respond to anything posted on Facebook. I am and email and everything. So I am accessible if anybody else wants to know more about this series and the books or me. I am in the process of writing the screenplay for Calico. So I'm writing the movie. I'm writing the movie for it. And I'm writing the novel for my movie that I wrote called Field of Grace. And Field of Grace is another book that talks about inner healing. It has to do with a young woman in 1919 Ohio who hides a secret from her father, and she feels like she's being ostracized because she's secretly pregnant with her boyfriend's child. And she has to save her family from a poison. And during that whole episode, she kind of realizes that the value of the relationship with her father.
Got it. And all this is first of all, let me just say that my staff members, the production staff, loves your website. I believe they're referring to the AllisonBruning.com website,
Right.
which it's beautifully set, and you can find a lot of information and books and whatnot on Allison there. So with this book that we were talking about, going all the gifts and whatnot, how do you think you told me in a discussion we were having that this book is like really picked up by the community of psychics and spiritual people and mediums and people in that phase of life. Why do you think it just appeals to that type of customer?
I think it has a lot of psychic truth to it. I mean, not really psychic truth, spiritual truth to it. When I wrote Calico, I put a lot of myself in it. I think it speaks to a higher spirituality. Now, I will tell you, when Calico came out, I am a Christian, so so let everybody know, I am a Christian.
Right.
The Christian community does not like Calico. I got ostracized a lot because my characters do not accept Jesus Christ.
Oh, so, right, because they're Indian, right? Yeah.
Because of the,
is that what you mean?
faith. Yeah.
Right.
And so I even had a pastor's wife tell me, how could you write that and not tell people that the only way that she could have found peace is through Jesus Christ? And I just looked at her and I said, because the book's not you. It's not for you. This book is not for a religious-minded person. This book is for a spiritual-minded person, and there is a huge difference.
Right, and that was
I
going to be
am
my
not
question.
religious at all.
What
I'm spiritual.
is the difference? What is the difference?
Religion's made by man. It's organized religion. It's you have to do this, you have to do that. It forgets that God is all about love. And yes, you do have to go through Jesus Christ to get to heaven, but it's not. God is not a creator where it's all fire and brimstone. God is all about love, and when you take the love out of the picture of a spiritual life, then you get legalism and religion.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I feel. I feel God is unconditional love, and that is the final goal for all our souls to learn.
Right.
We're here on earth to learn. So, if
you're religious minded, I'll just tell you right now, if you're religious minded, don't buy my book. You're going to hate it.
Yeah.
If you want religion minded, go buy Elsa, because Elsa's Elsa doesn't have anything to do about spiritualism. Elsa is about having unconditional love for a person who has a disability. But I wouldn't even call that disability, but I mean, but if you are open-minded, it's spiritually attuned, and are connected with the Creator, and stuff like that, then you would have no problem with Calico. You'll pick it up immediately. Calico has shamans, demons. I mean, it's a demon that does all this stuff. My antagonist, Hunting Bear, is not a bad guy. He's just a young shaman who misinterprets a spirit, thinks that the spirit is a good spirit sent by the Creator, and gives his life to a demon, not understanding that it's a demon until it's too late.
Right. And speaking of that character and your experiences with, have you ever seen a bad spirit, or have you ever seen evil, and this is how you incorporated it into your book, or how does that work for you?
I can feel it. I can feel evil. So I can discern good and bad spirits very, very easily. But, I wasn't born with that ability. Mm-hmm. I was sensitive, but I I had a really hard childhood, and there was a lot of darkness around me. And you and I had talked about that privately,
right?
About the dark, demon-infested environment that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I even came to a point where I hated God. But it wasn't until I humbled myself, and thankfully God had tried to get my attention several times through my abilities. Through visions, because I have visions, and I see and speak to spirits. Not as much as when I was younger, but I can understand Hunting Bear's confusion. I can understand why he was there, because once you get to that point where you recognize that you need God and you need Jesus in your life, and you need that love,
right?
You just crave it so much. But if you don't have anybody there to guide you, you can easily get off the path.
Yeah, I believe you me. I know. It's all about really following your heart, because even if there's evil out there, if you have hope and you actually go within your heart, you will find, a forgiveness and a love for everyone, because no matter, every time you run into someone that is evil or appears to be evil, there's a story there, there's a reason, and there's a hurt, and that is a hurt that needs to be healed. So, Allison, I really want to thank you for joining us on the show. Once again, you can look for Allison at abruning.com, abruning.com, all in lowercase. And Allison, is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
Just that if you read this book, just do it with an open heart and an open mind. It's very hard to understand a different culture or a different perspective of life, but I truly believe that everybody should see the entire story through everybody's eyes, every culture, every being, before they make an opinion about anything that ever happened.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. You can reach her on Twitter, Emerald Kell, EmeraldKell. You can find her on Facebook, Children of the Shawnee, Shanee. Is that right, Shawnee? Did I spell that correct?
Shwnee.
Sorry, that's why I asked you. I wasn't sure that I did it correctly. Pinterest, Allison B22, and you can purchase her books on Amazon. Just do a search for Allison Bruning. And the last thing is her wonderful blog, allisonbruning.blogspot.com. Allison, thank you so much, and I want to thank everyone for joining us this week. And be sure and join us next week again for Healing from Within with Tony Valen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.